I originally was going to make my Hogwarts Legacy review in a Hogwarts Legacy vs Jedi Survivor video. I haven't gotten around to playing Survivor because 1, I'm not paying $70 for it, and 2, I've been playing Tears of the Kingdom. But still, I was going to hold out for Survivor because you guys know how much I love comparing games until I saw one stinky little tweet regarding this game. Now, I've seen a lot of tweets similar to this, but this one was the last straw. To suggest that Hogwarts Legacy is even good enough to be nominated for the Game of the Year award is outrageous, but to put it up for debate as a winner, that is beyond delusion. What the fuck? It's getting really easy to tell which people haven't played any video games in their entire life with these takes. Let me be clear. I don't think this is a bad game by any means. Well, maybe not by any, but it's not a bad game. In fact, before I list off all the negatives, I'll dive into some pros. The first is pretty obvious, and that this is an open world Harry Potter game. Me and tons of others already have bias towards it because it's really cool to walk around all the places from the movies. Hogwarts is easily the best part about Legacy. Getting to explore all around the castle, the Great Hall, the moving staircases, the library, the boathouse. There's so many secrets and hidden areas to explore that make Hogwarts feel like it did in the movies. The experience is also elevated by the music and art direction. It's Harry Potter we're talking about here, so it's a given that the soundtrack is going to be a banger. The original theme plays when you get a little page. The view of Hogwarts, no matter where you look, is stunning. I mean, look at this shit, absolutely gorgeous. You can really tell that the developers have a lot of love for Harry Potter. Something you can also tell is that the developers don't know how to make an interesting game. Pretty much the entire open world is ass. The entire layout feels like it was generated by an AI. Every town is a copy and paste version of the last. There's no incentive to explore the quaint little villages. They're pretty much just there for me to ransack their chests and leave. And the side quests they give you are boring and don't give you anything. The broomstick definitely doesn't help with the exploration. I actually have a big problem with the broomstick. There's probably plenty of beautiful locations for me to explore on the world, but since I have a broom, I fly right past anything interesting right to my destination. From a gameplay perspective, it's convenient and allows me to skip large parts of the experience of Hogwarts Legacy, which I always love to see. From a developer's perspective, they should have given it to you a lot later in the game. A lot of the exploration doesn't feel rewarding because it wasn't at all challenging. Pretty much the entire surface feels unnecessary because I flew everywhere. I think that if they want to give you the broom as like an endgame side quest or at least a late game, that would have allowed for players to play through the struggle and reward of traversing areas. I'm sure there would have been a lot of cool grand moments that I missed because I zoomed right past them. I was really looking forward to exploring the Forbidden Forest, hoping to feel some fear and suspense from walking around a dangerous forest that could have anything around the corner. Instead, the tension was removed completely because I knew that no matter what happened, I could just take out my broom and fly away. You may ask, well, why not just not fly away if you have so much of a problem with it? But the joy is derived from the restriction of being able to easily bypass challenges, or else the game just isn't hard, or at least that aspect. The story sucks so much dick. But honestly, that's expected nowadays. There are good ideas in here drowned out by boring dialogue and characters you don't give a shit about. Sebastian, the only character with a semi-interesting storyline, is sidelined completely after completing enough of his missions for him not to be relevant to the main story anymore. He has the kind of interesting shit with his sister and uncle, but then all of a sudden the rest of his missions are optional because they don't progress the rest of the story. I'm sure plenty of players missed out on some alright moments because of this. You might have noticed that I haven't brought up the actual story yet, and that's because I'm stalling for time trying to remember anything about it. It's completely forgettable, and this is mostly harbored by bland characters. I haven't played Assassin's Creed, but this is what I imagine it'd be like. Every voice actor sounds like they don't care. Nobody has any depth to them, and they all just seem like robots. I hate their stupid accents too. As if I didn't hate British people enough, now you've got them saying,
"Hello, Sebastian."
"It's Sebastian, you dumb." Any conversation is a complete chore to listen to. This is my live reaction to finding out the skip dialogue button a couple of hours in.
Hello? Can I help you?
Why can't you just
oh,
press X?
thank goodness.
Oh.
Diving into the lake sounds like splendid.
Oh, perfect. Oh, this is great.
It sounds.
I found the skip dialogue button.
I do hope
Yes.
you find the astrolabe.
The main character is even worse. I think having a create your own character feature in a story-driven game is a terrible idea. The only way I've seen it work is Cyberpunk, but only because you can change your dick size. Creating your own character automatically butchers any room for personality, because you have literally created your own person that the developers can no longer account for. Your character is always given two dialogue options, one that's unbearably inoffensive, and the other that is always way meaner than the prompt lets on. Pretty much the only characters you can talk to are those that give you a side quest. On paper this may sound normal, but it's so weird when you're playing the game and you can't talk to anyone. Nobody does anything when you run into them or shoot a spell at them. This is supposed to be a school, right? Shouldn't I be socializing and hanging out and shit? I can't interact with anyone. I guess putting in all those voice lines would have been too much work. The common room should have been a place to hang out and have some downtime, get away from the stress of life, maybe talk to some of my housemates. But I've only been there 3 times in the whole game. The common room should have been like the camp from Red Dead Redemption 2. People chatting it up, sitting around telling stories, playing poker. Where's that type of stuff in here, huh? Everyone is like a goddamn Roomba just walking around aimlessly. This could have been applied to Hogsmeade too. I would really love Hogsmeade to be a place to relax and have fun, but there's just no one to interact with. For there in Hogwarts, the design and everything else is there. Now all that's left is the characters to be alive. Remember when I was supposed to be talking about the story? Yeah, me neither. You know what's something I do not recommend? Playing this game on the hardest difficulty. Because why? Why would you do that? This game isn't particularly hard, but there are a lot of aspects about it that could be significantly improved upon. For starters, you can block attacks by pressing the shield button right before you get hit, but the shield button doesn't cancel out the attack chain you're doing. So many times I've died because the attack indicator shows up right before I was hit, and there was nothing I could do but watch in horror as my character just kept firing spells at an enemy without me being able to do anything about it.
Fuck you! Oh my god.
The fights are also kinda weird. A lot of the time you're fighting against a lot of other people, but there's not many ways you can attack more than one person. So most of the time you're just chipping away at the health of one guy, occasionally Dark Souls rolling to dodge attacks. It's not a huge issue, there's just a bit of a fluidity problem. Now, remember when I said that problem number 4 is everything else? Yeah, I lied. Because Hogwarts Legacy has one more feature I really like. When you press up on the D-pad, a little golden strand will guide you to your waypoint. This is way more useful than you may think. I get so tired of glancing down at the minimap every 2 seconds in other games, making sure I'm going the right way. But this game found a really good solution, so way to go, Portkey Games! Now back to bashing the shit out of this game. The entire room of requirement isn't really necessary, although I can see some players getting into it. I had a lot of fun filling it up with giant statues, but the really useless part is the beast farm thing. I didn't do anything with this at all. The alpha upgrades just weren't worth it because I kept finding new, better outfits throughout my playtime. Speaking of which, this game gives you so many clothes, I was constantly having to clear out my inventory space because the only reward you get for doing anything is clothes. This makes the act of completing a mission or defeating a camp feel like a waste of time. Along with that, there's so many random challenges that do nothing, just as an attempt to make the world seem fruitful. Like the landing pads and observatories and Merlin trials. Do the Merlin trials get you something? Yeah. Is it pretty much pointless though? Yeah. Classes are pointless too. I mean, I'm a student, right? I know about 7 total classes, and they kind of act as a tutorial space for new mechanics. But once they exhaust their practical use, they're no longer used. This game is too afraid to take risks and lean into what made Harry Potter special in the first place. Charming characters, beautiful set pieces, and a compelling story. The sprint animation also looks really weird. So now that I'm finished berating Hogwarts Legacy, I'd like to present to you how I'd make a better Harry Potter game. Make only Hogwarts, Hogsmeade, the Forbidden Forest, and pretty much any spot from the movie explorable. This will allow the developers to take more time in fleshing out these areas, rather than making a giant soulless open world with nothing in it. And from here on in, just make the rest like Red Dead Redemption 2. There were some good story ideas in here. Now, elevate it with interesting characters. Make it so that you can talk to anyone, have some side quests that allow you to unlock iconic locations like the Chamber of Secrets, the Shrieking Shack, and things like that. Don't give the player a broomstick until the very end if at all. Have us be able to go to more classes and meet some new friends. Not every conflict has to be some big battle or sneak mission. Some of it can be dealing with bullies, trying to make new friends, and where you're going to hang out at night. Lean more into the school aspect of a magic school. Too much of it feels like I'm a superhero who happens to reside at a school. This game could really be a masterpiece if they dug deep and took the time to get it done right. Well, now it's time for the score. At this point, you're probably thinking I'm going to give this a D or something, but despite my ranting, I actually had a good amount of fun with it. It just frustrates me when a great idea like a Harry Potter video game with so much potential falls flat in so many areas. I felt bored a lot, but there were also a lot of moments of magic and charm. I just hope that if they make another one, they have more focus. Hogwarts Legacy earns itself a C+.